Hi. So today we are going to discuss and talk about three things that successful coaches do consistently. And we're going to spend the next 15 minutes or so to do that. And today I have my friend, my colleague, Patrick Howell, that will join me in this discussion. So, my friend Patrick, how are you, buddy?
Hey, what's happening, Braco? Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. All good, all good, all good today.
Yeah,
So we said we are going to talk about three things that successful coaches do consistently. We know there are so many, right? Successful coaches do a lot of things, but let's focus on like top three, what you and I think. What do we think? What are the top three things that successful coaches really do consistently?
good. Yeah, I think it's a good topic to start us off. Well, go ahead. Give me your first take, and then I'll jump on board.
Sounds good. So here's the first one that I'm thinking about. That is that and I think new coaches sometimes struggle with this. I've seen it so much, and that is that uh, our focus should be 100% on clients' end goal. This has nothing to do with us. This has nothing to do with how good coach I am, all right? This has nothing to do with my confidence. This is all about focusing on your client's end goal. And when I said end goal, that could be actually there's many, right? That's end goal for the session, right? That's end goal for the package that you give. That's really the end goal. What client wants to? Why did he or she come? What is it? Where is it that they
Yeah.
want to go? What do you think?
No, I think that's right. I think you nailed it when you said if we're thinking about, well, how good am I doing as a coach? Like, or I'm really really. When we're thinking in those lines, we're thinking about the wrong person. Right, we're not in the shoes of the client. We're not trying to really empathize and be with that client, so that can create a whole world, a whole heap of trouble. And coaching, like many other professions, can be very humbling. The second we start to think how good we are, that's when that's when clients start to leave us.
Yes.
So that's not a it can be a humbling experience, but it also is a learning experience when we realize that, wait a second, I'm thinking about myself. How good am I doing? Are my questions good enough? Like, am I, or I am really good, instead of focusing on what it is that the client wants, what is the end goal that they have, and recognizing and realizing and just being a real person that you may not have all the answers. And as a coach, you don't need to have the answers.
Yes.
You just want to help guide them. Now, you do want to have hopefully some particular skill set in that general topic area, or some experience, maybe some past experience with other clients, to help that current client relate to what you're talking about. But you don't have to have all the answers, and just be real about it. So focusing on what they want, not what you have or don't have.
You said something which is really interesting, and that is what's really now human nature. That often, even now you and I talk, and there's a time when you and I started thinking what we're going to say next, right? Because that's kind of in human nature. It's really, it is hard to 100% focus that 45 minutes or whatever your session is, and really not lose thoughts, like not lose your client for a second. I know you and I actually talked about this at one point, but like, what, how do you focus 100% during the session on a client? What do you do?
I think
One
the
or two.
goal is 100%, and I think you're
Right.
exactly right. There's going to be times when your mind wanders,
Mm-hmm.
when and you and I have talked. I'll beat this over and over again. I think we've mentioned it in just about every show. Is that mindful awareness of, okay, my mind just wandered.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer focusing on the outcome of my client. I'm thinking about something. I'm thinking about my next client,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is
It
that thought
happens.
comes into your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and just gently redirecting yourself and being
That's
honest about it.
yes.
But if you missed it, because if you missed something key that your client said, just say, "Hey, my mind wandered for a minute there. Can you repeat what you just said?" And can you repeat what you just said, so I can respect our time together,
Mm-hmm.
and be the best coach that I can for you. because I think I missed some of what you said because my mind wandered. That's totally fine.
Yes, yes. That's totally fine during this session. I think what we are really saying here, we're kind of separating from focus 100% during the session to really focus 100% on client's end goal. I mean, that's really what we're saying. We need to focus where our clients wants to go. And it's not our why, it's his or her whys.
Yes.
Often I had a new coach saying, well, but I don't think that's where he or she needs to go. Well, that's not you. It's not up to you to say where your client wants to go, right? You focus on that end goal as long as that end goal is, follows your moral compass, if you will, and as long as it's not something illegal. I mean,
of course.
We know all these things, right? So.
Yeah, if you start thinking, well, I don't think that's where they should be going.
Then you are thinking wrong.
That is not number one. That's not coaching.
Right.
Now,
yes.
If you've worked with the client for a while and you understand it, maybe you think they misinterpreted what you're asking them or this and that, then you could just ask clarifying questions like, what is it about that end goal that inspires you? What is it about that end goal that drives you? And what will it be like when you reach that end goals to help them flush out? Is that really their end goal? That's part of coaching. But when we start thinking, no, I don't think that's where you should go.
Exactly right. Right. I just wanted to say good morning to our friend Lisa. Hey, Lisa, good to see you as always.
Hey,
thanks for
what's up, Lisa? Good morning.
Keep following us. That's really nice. So that's really cool. That's really cool. So what we are saying is that we need to. One of the first things we need to do is, one of these three things that you and I are going to talk about today is that first one is to focus 100% on client's end goal. And it's really clear. And look, for new coaches, it just may take a while, right? Sometimes you're learning. So don't worry about this as long as you are focusing on your client's
And the end goal is always going to be fluid when you're dealing with human beings. So if you are a new coach, just recognize that it's not, okay, I had my first couple sessions with the client. I have their end goal. And now we're going to keep driving to that end goal, keep driving to that end goal, keep driving to that end goal without checking back in. Because human beings, just about every day, right? We wake up with different emotions. We wake up with different thoughts and different desires and or different just life experiences. Things happen and that client may shift their end goal. Or the reasons for their end goal or some nuance that's involved in their end goal may shift. And as a coach, we want to make sure we're in tune with that.
I'm thinking one of those where new coaches, and this really happens, I've heard it so many times, client told me she or he wants to do this. 3 sessions later, they changed their mind. Like, but I can't do this. I don't keep changing your mind.
You're not allowed to change your mind, damn it.
You're not coachable if you keep changing your mind.
Yeah.
All right, so we nailed this one. What do you think? I'm going to turn it to you for the next one. What do you think the next one of the top 3 things successful coaches do consistently?
Well, I would say there's actually 2 things that come to my mind. The one of them would be is that coaches have a proven process and framework in place, something that's repeatable, and that they also embrace marketing and selling. So if we talk
Patrick, do you mind if we separate these two? So if we stay with the coaching framework and repeatable process, and we'll take the next one, if you don't mind.
Good. Yeah. This. So I would say like a coaching framework and a repeatable process is something that successful coaches do. So we don't have to get up every single day and recreate the wheel. So finding things and Now, human beings are different, so there are different nuances with people, but a framework really keeps you somewhat in place. Like, what is your coaching philosophy? What is your ethos as a coach? And understanding that, and then developing processes around it. A lot of times when I train coaches, is what I find is that coaches or human beings, we oftentimes think when we have repeatable processes in place, or we have, I guess repeatable would almost mean like scripted processes, like things that we formulated in place, that's restrictive. And yet, in a lot of ways, it's completely opposite from restrictive, because having that foundation in place of repeatable processes, a framework, an ethos, a philosophy, then allows us to really be firm in who we are, and then to branch off and be creative and to allow our creativity. So it, instead of actually restricting us, I think it actually frees us up a lot more as a coach.
Yes, I'm really glad you said this because I was almost like not worrying, but I knew what question will be from coaches. Well, I have a framework, I have a process, and can I follow this all the time? I'm going to be strict with what if I? So I'm glad you said that. And look, there are so many coaching frameworks out there. Again, you and I were teaching this for so many years, and I know we both said, and tell me if you changed your mind. Pick anything you want out there, but adjust it and create your own. You don't have to
Yes.
follow my process, Patrick's process. But if there's something to learn there, take it, what works for you, and then adjust it to your clients. Look, we
Yes.
all have different clients also.
And internalize that process first. And the concept really is rooted in just traditional selling. Like in traditional selling, there is sales language. Like if you're selling a product or you're selling a service, then you will have scripted language when you first learn a pharmaceutical company to go sell pharmaceuticals. You're going to be brought in, you're going to be trained to have scripted language. Now, you're not going to use that scripted language all the time. The idea is that you have that as a framework, as a starting point. And then once you really internalize it, you can always fall back on it, but you never do once you get more experience, because now you just free up, but it's there for you. So that
That's
scripted
it.
language actually frees you up. That scripted framework or that repeatable process actually frees you up as a coach.
Yeah, well said, well said. This really, really is important because especially new coaches in the beginning to start establishing something. They don't. Where do I start? What questions do I ask? What if client has this and that problem? Do I have some forms that I possibly could, give clients? Do I give them some homework? What happens when they come back? I mean, there's so many things that we can put in place so that we know from beginning to an end to the follow-up what we're
Yes.
doing.
Yeah. And really this is not an additional piece, but I will tack it on, is that during this coaching framework, when you're 100% focused on your clients, like 1 and 2 that we're talking about, is maintaining that genuine interest in your client. Right? When we just maintain that genuine interest and that sense of, I oftentimes talk about it as maintaining a genuine curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we are curious as a coach and you're constantly curious, then any question that you ask your client, if it comes from a real, genuine place of curiosity, any question is valid. Any question is beneficial. It's when it's not from a place of curiosity, when if it's a place from knowing, like I know what's right for you. But if I'm curious, right, if I'm really curious about why you chose that goal or why that's your end goal, and I'm just curious, right? I'm your coach. I'm curious. What is it about that inspires you? Then any question that formulates from a place of curiosity is really a powerful question.
That's great. So that curiosity, that mindful listening and focus, that being in the present moment, right? Instead of just looking, what questions do I have on my list?
Yeah.
What's the next I'm going to ask? That's not what we're talking about as a framework, right?
No.
We're talking about, that's really cool. And then when you said, instead of thinking, what's next for my, instead of thinking, what I know what's best for my client. I always think of, years ago, I don't know if you recall that, if you remember, there was that Onion magazine. And actually,
What was it? I missed you.
I think it's called Onion, or Onions. I think it's Onion. And there's actually the website that they have. They used to publish like really thick books rather.
Mm-hmm.
And there was all like fake news, but just fun. Everything was just fun stuff. And one of the headlines that my son loved ever since he was a little kid, and he saw that he used to buy those Onion books, and he said, the headline is, "I know what's the best for everybody." So if that's your attitude, get out of this business.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, so I know you mentioned, and let's move to the third thing, because you talk about marketing and selling, and I know that's one thing that a lot of coaches struggle, especially new coaches, they'll come and they say, well, I don't want to sell anything. I don't know how, that's not me. I just want to coach.
Yes.
What would you tell these coaches?
From a business standpoint,
Yes.
then embracing marketing and selling and is really essential. I mean, you have to do it. Now, marketing yourself doesn't have to feel cheesy. It doesn't have to feel pushy. Marketing simply could, and what I'd recommend, or just organic marketing, like always coming from a standpoint of how can I help you, right? Instead of how can I close this sale
Yes.
or this next contract with this client, or how can I get something from this client? Approaching, and I would say most coaches who are in this profession really are how can I help you people, right? It's a how can I help you profession. And when we approach, the world like that, that's marketing in itself. Like being the person who really is always looking out to help. That's organic marketing. And not being afraid to let people know what it is that you do. Let your family, your friends, the people, that you run into know what you do. That's selling. It doesn't mean that you have to say, okay, well, buy my services right now. But selling yourself is just putting out there into the world what it is that you do with a positive energy and a how can I help you kind of energy.
Yeah, no, that's really great view on marketing and selling, all right? And it's really all about serving, all right? If you approach everything as I'm here to serve people from that perspective, and I know it's tough if you can't pay your bills today and you're struggling. Look, we understand that. That's why, we should actually talk and have some other sessions about the business and so on. But it's as long as you look at everything, I'm here to serve you. How can I serve you? What can I do to help? Right?
Yes.
That could be one of. And then again, like you said, it's organic marketing. And then we're not really talking about all the online marketing and all the stuff that comes. It needs to come in place at some point of time, but not something you have to worry about right now if you're starting as a new coach.
No.
Right?
Yeah. And I would say that the best marketing that there possibly is in the entire world is being really friggin' good at what you do and getting really good at what you do. That's the best marketing. And in coaching, that means focusing on your clients and helping them to achieve their end results. And when you can focus on that, that's marketing in itself. That's organic marketing. Because if you help a client, you guide a client from point A to point B, then they tell two people and they tell two people and they tell two people and so on and so on and so on.
Yes, and this happens. I mean, we know this is exactly what happens when you do a good job with one client, get one client, right? And you do really, really well. This person will tell so many people.
They will. You and I came up in this space before this whole video, social media thing, right?
Yes.
So we know how it works. We know that when you focus, when you really train yourself to become focused on the individual and do a really damn good job, that you can make a sustainable business without all of these additional things, without all of this additional marketing that goes on, with the additional marketing and the global reach that we have now, that you can coach somebody sitting in Bangladesh somewhere, if you're, in San Francisco, the potential is just exponential.
Yes. So just to make it clear, we're not saying don't do this new stuff, all right? We're just saying that the old things still work, all right? And it's the easiest thing to start with that and then embrace the new marketing techniques.
This is a bonus.
This is a bonus.
Yeah, exactly. All this other stuff is great because you have such a bigger reach. Again, it takes what was possible 20 years ago, which we know is possible 25 years ago, to build a sustainable business, a sustainable practice. And it takes that and it makes it an exponential growth because you have all of this other opportunity now.
Yes. And, honestly, it's just so much easier today to find clients. Like you said, you and I, this wasn't like this, 20 years ago.
It would have been a lot easier in some ways. Maybe if it had this extra cherry on top back then, but I think we did fairly well over the years without it.
You're right. In a way, it was easier. Now everybody is telling us, well, you have to be on all these social medias. You have to be on internet. You have to,
Yeah.
have a huge mailing list. You have to have all of this. And yes, they're all good things. But
Yeah.
you can start small and get one client, and you will multiply, even if you
Yeah.
don't do any of new things, right?
Yeah. Good. Well, I think we're running into close to 15
We're
minutes
running
here.
close
So
to 15. So let's then close this. So what Patrick and I discussed today was three things that successful coaches really do consistently, and we both agree that the first thing is to really focus 100% on client's end goal. The second one was to establish and have this coaching framework and repeatable process that you can use with multiple clients. And the third one was to really embrace marketing and selling. Patrick, anything else you would like to add?
that's it. Just have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the United States, have a great Memorial Day weekend. If you're elsewhere, have a great weekend.
Yes, same to everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy. And thank you, Lisa. And we will see you soon. Take care. Bye
All
bye.
right. See you, Brazzo.
See you. Bye.